Today, the topic is love. Hafez says, and tomorrow the topic is love. And I can think of no other topic to speak of for the rest of my life till we die. That's how he says it. But love. And love is the cosmic reset that I want to address today. And to recognize the triune nature of human existence. It's mind, body, spirit, spirit, mind, body, as I was saying before, however you want to start that. But recognizing there are ways that we can participate with each of the levels of consciousness. And sometimes there are barriers that keep us from love. As Rumi, the 13th century mystic, said, ours is not to seek love, but to seek the barriers that we have built up against it. So I want to offer an idea today that might sound a little different than some we've heard a lot over the decades. People like to purport that and put forth the idea that the opposite of love is fear. I'm going to offer the idea that the reality is there is no such thing as the opposite of love. Nothing is opposite love. Fear is not the opposite of love. If we take Rumi's quote, ours is to find out the barriers we've put up against love or to keep love out. Let's call those barriers fear. Let's call those barriers fear. So there's love, is the cosmic intelligence, the force, the joy, the positive, everything. And sometimes the idea that love is always such a great feeling. Sometimes love pushes us and challenges us to move through things, to have a greater awareness of how much more love we can pull in. So even in fear, love can sometimes use fear as a tool for transformation. Sometimes love uses fear as a tool for transformation. So it couldn't be an opposite to love. There is not a continuum with love on one side and fear on the other. There is nothing more powerful than love. Another Rumi quote, which I appreciate so much, is, when I went to write about love, the tip of my pen broke. In order to describe something, you've got to have something greater than it with which to formulate your thoughts, like to get your thoughts around so that we can distill an idea. There is nothing greater than love. We can't get around it to describe it. It's that indescribable force which is everything, including fear. What in the world? So today we're going to talk about the triune nature and breaking down those barriers, just examining first, let's start with the body and the discipline of the body. Sometimes that is not a popular word. If you joined us for Wisdom Wednesdays, Natalia and I had a really lovely conversation over coffee. It's Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe. It's every Wednesday morning at 7 to 7:15, but it's archived so you could watch it. Well, we were talking about discipline and the capacity to become a creative performer, somebody who is proficient with an instrument. There's that discipline, her grandfather said, it's applying your butt, I'll say, to the seat. The discipline to practice. So physical discipline, I know fasting, let's just use that as an example of a spiritual discipline for the body. Fasting, people think sometimes fasting is only about proving that you could go without eating a certain thing for a while, or that you could do so many sit-ups or push-ups. That's a combination of disciplines. But just fasting alone, the discipline there with just fasting is not to prove that you can go without food, but it's to remind the cells, the intelligence of the cells, the trillions of them that make up this body universe, to remind them that they live by cosmic intelligence, by cosmic life force primarily. What I'm not saying is don't eat because you don't need it. You can probably get to a place in your consciousness where you don't have to eat much. You could just live on life force. I'm not there yet all the way, plus I'm Italian. That would not go over very well in my house. If I sat down at my mother's table and said I didn't want to eat because I'm living by cosmic intelligence, I don't know. Not going to try that anytime soon. What I am saying is it just helps us to remind the cells that there's the spark of energy which resides in each one that is perfect, whole, and complete. So we are holographic in nature, actually, when you think about it. Each one of our cells is a mini world, a mini universe. The universe lives inside us. Rumi also said, you are the seal on a treasure. This body is a seal on the treasure, and you're a diamond mine. Inside, lights, billions, trillions of lights. We carry a lot of light. So breaking down the barriers of fear helps us to internalize the idea that we are light and that we can bring forth that light from within. We could bring forth light from within and around us to surround us with light and to keep us safe. So the discipline within the cells. Another way is to take care of the body. Feed it good things that have high vibrations. Love, the cosmic reset in the body, is to love the body so that you protect the organism that your soul resides in, so that you can enjoy more freedom in the world. The discipline of discernment. I love ice cream. I love sweets. I enjoy them very much. I don't eat them all the time every day. This is also quoted in the Bible that humans have dominion over the earth. It did not mean we have dominion over the planet. Who has dominion over whom right now? I'd like to ask that question. If you think that that's true, why are you locked down because of a tiny virus that you could wash off with soap and water can kill you? And that also makes me realize, I was thinking about this too, dominion over the earth means just dominion over your bodily form, which comes from the earth. We have many of the elements that make up the planet are in our bodies. We have dominion over the earth in the form of our individual body. That's where we have dominion, not the planet. Earth as the form of earth in which you reside right now. And the you that I'm speaking with is that love, that central cosmic intelligence of the soul. Dominion of the earth means dominion over your own body, which is made up of a lot of the same elements of earth experience, right? So thinking about that too, all these wars that we have, we're fighting, trillions of dollars spent on weapons. We don't have dominion over each other that way either. We don't have dominion over each other. We have dominion over self. Many things in the world will continue to change. It's our relationship with those changes that can be altered. That's where we have the control. So what we're talking about is spiritual security. Spiritual security. So getting your physical being healthy, keeping it healthy, doing what it needs. Give the dog a bone, Yogananda used to say. Just like eat and then forget it. Take care and forget it. But don't dwell. Over the mind. I was talking with a client the other day, and we were talking about how the mind, how thoughts can be like broken records. And how, if we likened it to a broken record where, if the broken record were in the form of a bully on the playground, let's say, every day you come out for lunch and somebody just pushes you down and tells you, you're not good enough, or you're not stronger than I am. I got you. There are thoughts that try to keep us down. So policing our consciousness, our mind, the thoughts we have, that's another way of pushing through a barrier of fear to get to love. Sometimes our thoughts are the fear barriers. We have a belief of something. Somebody taught us to be afraid of a particular nationality, or to be afraid of a particular form of worship. Many people were totally terrified to try to meditate. Why? So catching hold of the thoughts and the beliefs that you will let yourself recreate over and over and over like a broken record. Do a visualization of taking that record off of the turntable, off of the Victrola, if you will, and just cracking it right there, just smashing it in a million pieces. And I likened it to, if we put that mind and body together, if you are somebody who was beaten up on the playground, often by a bully. And one day, we all like the stories. I do anyway. I don't know what it is. We like to see the stories, like Ralphie from A Christmas Story, getting pushed down by the kid, the farkest kid every day. Finally, you see Ralphie just lose it on the guy, and he hits him back, and the bully stops. The bully stops. I'm not advocating going out and punching bullies in the stomach, but it also reminds me of a time when I was in elementary school. I was kind of like the person who took the weaker ones who were getting picked on under my wing. I would come out for lunch and they would all be right around me because I just didn't let anything happen to them. They weren't better or worse or anything. They might look a little differently, or their clothes were different, or just something about them was different. To the surprise of not very many people, I kind of patrolled the playground. And people would come and tell me if somebody was picking on somebody else, and the lunch lady wasn't out. Remember the lunch ladies? I would just go over and try to break it up. Hey, come on, you know? So what ended up happening was we had a situation where a bunch of schools merged, and there was another person at another school who was similar to me. She did the same thing with her playground. And so taking on the thoughts of other people brought us to a situation where they thought that one or the other of us had to have total control or be in charge of the whole playground. And which one of us was it going to be? Was it going to be her, or was it going to be me? And so they organized this great big idea that we should fight it out. The two peacemakers should fight it out to see who was going to be the leader of the playground. And when we got out there, so this is what I'm talking about. These are beliefs that are being hoisted upon me at the time, that were not like the cosmic intelligence of love inside of me. That was not a motivating force to fight like this. So we got back out onto the playground. Here it comes, and everybody's crowded around looking for some big fight. And I just looked at her and I said, I don't really want to fight with you. And she said, I don't really want to fight with you either. And I extended my hand and I said, why don't we do what we do together? There are twice as many of us now. What if we just joined forces and did it together? She stuck out her hand and we shook hands on it. Everyone, there was this great big celebration. It was kind of like nobody had to see their friend fight. Nobody really wanted to see that. Everybody won, nobody lost. So pay attention to thoughts like that. Like if you keep getting a thought in your mind, be like the person on the playground that you can come and say, hey, be rescued by your higher thoughts, by your better thoughts. Let's put it that way. Go to a better thought and say, I need help overcoming this one because it knocks me out every single time. Replace that old thought with a higher vibration thought and get it out of the way. Much like policing the playground. When no one else is looking to protect you, protect yourself. This is how you have dominion over your thoughts. If it's hard to find a good thought, tune in here on Sundays, tune into Soul Sessions, tune into Wisdom Wednesdays in the morning, and find good thoughts. Read good books. Read good books. We've got a list of books we love on SoulCall Ministries website, soulcallministries.org. There are a list of books we love that help us to keep our thoughts clear. And then I want to talk about the spiritual part of this. So there's something for the mind is policing the bully thoughts, replacing them with a higher vibration of thought, getting control, dominion over the body, dominion over the earth with your thoughts. But then there's spiritual maturity. And I think about this often. I was reading a book, Finding Spiritual Security in Times of Change. It's a book called A World in Transition. And it came out in 1999. And these are thoughts of Paramahansa Yogananda. And there was an interesting thing in here about spiritual maturity, an internationalist whose name was Wendell Willkie. What a cool name is that? Wendell Willkie. He was an American lawyer. He was born in 1892 and he died in 1944. But he wrote a book called One World. And while he was alive, he was a wealthy attorney. But he also, up until like 1939, he was affiliated with the Democratic Party until he wanted to run for president himself. And the only way he was going to get a nomination was if he ran as a Republican. So he affiliated with the Republican Party and ended up running against Franklin Delano Roosevelt. 1940. We all know history will tell us he lost that. But he went on to champion some of the causes for FDR. They were thinking alike. As an American lawyer, Wendell Willkie worked on behalf of electric companies for the most part. So there was already this global economy happening. Light was everywhere then. Electricity, of course, all of our inventions were getting swapped out. So this is nothing new in terms of global economy. It's not new. I think we're just coming to the realization of how intertwined we are on so many levels as a planet. It is one world. We are one world. There's never been a time like the present for us to get with this idea of one world. Spiritual maturity. So people say there's no time like the present, but I like to say there's no time in the present. There's no time in the present. What I mean by that is when we're operating in the presence or in real time, we're very focused on the now, not thinking of yesterday or tomorrow, but being fully present in the moment. We operate in a timeless land where possibilities are endless, where we're only paying attention to what our next step is with the presence of that cosmic intelligence. That's the cosmic reset. The more we allow love to pour in, the more we allow love to pour in. So in the spiritual maturity of this, I like to say, you can look at the world with ego eyes, which is the small s self, or you can look at the world with wise eyes, with the eyes of wisdom. Wise eyes are the soul level. That's the cosmic reset for the spiritual maturation process, is to learn to look, close the ego eyes and see the world with wise eyes, with the wisdom of the soul, recognizing we are one. In this pandemic situation, again, it's affecting every human being, no matter where we are on the planet. There's no culture that is not going to get it. There's no religion that's not going to get it. We're not all going to get it, but if we are exposed to it to the degree necessary to catch the thing, pretty likely that we will. But our consciousness, the cosmic reset, is to live from that cosmic intelligence that tells us, I'll take care of my earth by thinking the thoughts that will keep my spiritual nature flowing in, keeping the cosmic intelligence of the universe coming in to the universe inside, coming forth from the universe, which is inside of me. It's not an outward, inward thing. It's a simultaneous nature of vibrational experience. It's the simultaneous nature of vibrational experience. You'll hear me say that again and again. It's that, the simultaneous experience of vibrational intelligence working within body, mind, spirit connection of us. So we're not separate parts. We're not body, mind, spirit. We are a confluence of all of those things happening at once. And if something feels clogged or stilted, allow love to be the force that moves you through the fear, through the obstacle. Again, sometimes love uses fear as a tool to help us move through, to know how powerful we are. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, a wrestler always fights with a stronger wrestler, so that you know how powerful you are. If we only knew how powerful we are, we would not get so caught up in separate or other. We are all part of the universal cosmic intelligence, which is love. God is love, and all who abide in love abide in God and God in them. Whatever you want to call that. There's not one religious philosophy that has all the truth, capital T truth. And there's not one person who has all the best ideas, or all of your ideas, all of my ideas aren't only the right ones. That's looking at the world with ego eyes. When we can see through the eyes of wisdom, with wise eyes coming from the soul, we could recognize maybe where the barrier is of fear that somebody has put up between you and me and you, them and the world. Wise eyes can see that. And wise eyes can bring forth from that cosmic reset, that cosmic intelligence of love. Only love can do that. Love sees only love, and only love sees love. So if we can see that pain and suffering of others and recognize it when we're functioning from body, mind, spirit, and we have ourselves vibrating at a rate that doesn't have fear in it. Be as clear as a ruby can transmit light without distorting the image in any way. That's the only gem that can do that. That's why the Sufis love the ruby. Be like a ruby. Polish your heart. Polish your thoughts. Stay strong in your consciousness. Stay aware of who you are in the scheme of things. Have dominion over earth, over your body. Dominion over your conscious thoughts, over your subconscious thoughts. When a bully tries to run through, like a little cosmic game of Red Rover, you might get a bully running through the line, trying to break through your line of positiveness. Maybe catch that thought, look at it for what it is. Maybe it was a fear barrier that just wants for you to see you've been harboring this thought for a long time. Let it go. Rub it away with the intelligence of your love, with the softness of love. You can just sweep it away with love and allow yourself to see the world with wise eyes, not ego eyes, but wise eyes. So finding that body, mind, spirit connection. Why did I bring up Wendell Willkie? Wendell Willkie wrote that book called One World, and he switched parties. But once he switched parties, he went back to helping out the Democrat. Why do I say that? Because he saw the world was one universal space with each of us having a part in it. So internationalism, if we practice recognizing that each of us has a right to be happy, has a right to be free and express the love that is our being. So back in the 40s, we're talking about this. There are people who've been talking about it for centuries, for millennia. It's a way for us to have entree into recognizing we are one world. And the world that works for everyone is not somebody's idea of what everybody needs. It's the realization that comes from within that all we need is love. If we see the world with wise eyes, we'll see the world through the eyes of love. And that awakening, the great awakening, is the one that awakens from within you, in your intelligence.